They see a win. The 3-game losing streak is over. Stripling with a great outing. Springer and Espinal with huge hits in the bottom of the 7th, and what's got to be a very satisfying 6-1 win for the Blue Jays.
Absolutely satisfying, especially given where they are. They maintain a position in the wild card standings as we speak. They're headed to New York. George Springer with a milestone hit, his 1,000th career base hit, proves to be the game winner in the Blue Jays 6-1 win, and they salvage the final game of this 3-game series.
We're back with you tomorrow night from Yankee Stadium. Hope you can join us then. The Blue Jays 6 and the Orioles 1 as we send it to Tim and Friends.
Jays are able to avoid this sweep. 6-1 is the final. This is the Tim and Friends post-game show. We will get you everything you need to know, and that includes me, the Tim Part, Jamie Campbell, Joe Siddle from the Dome, Ben Nicholson-Smith in studio, Jesse Rubinoff with your reaction as the Jays are able to upend the Orioles, finally stopping a 5-game losing streak against those very same Baltimoreans. For those sauntering home from a tough day or not so tough day, despite the final score, this one had some Jays fans wondering how they could screw this one up. A loss would have had the Jays on the outside looking in on the playoffs, but one guy who didn't screw up anything was Ross Stripling, fresh off the IL and looking good. The 32-year-old needed just 22 pitches through the opening 2 innings. He retires the first 6 Oriole batters in order. Top 3, get some help. Rougned Odor. They booed him a couple times at the Dome this week. Sharp grounder, Vladimir Guerrero Jr. flashing some weather. Nice play for the out at first base. Stripling facing the minimum through 3. So let's go to the top of the 4th. Still no score. Stripling in a groove. Cedric Mullins down. Then top 6, Odor down. 18 up, 18 down. Perfect through 6. In the top of the 7th, Stripling looking to add, but Mullins, a liner up the middle, spoils the perfect game with a single, but it's still 0-0. And a lot of Jays fans, despite the ovation, a little nervous. 6+ scoreless innings, 1-hit ball, the ovation, and then this. Jimmy Garcia takes over. Ryan Mountcastle, what a play by Bo Bichette. Some struggles of late. The bare hand, and he got him by an inch. Then with 2 out, go-ahead run now, 90 feet away. Garcia sits down Austin Hayes. That ends the frame, but we're still scoreless. Bottom of the 7th, Springer did not start, was pinch hitting with 2 on, and he comes up with a clutch single. He is jacked. His 1,000th career base hit, scores the first run of the game. Vladdy collects the milestone ball, which was also his first ever pinch hit. Crazy. Next batter, Santiago.
Espinal drives it to right center field, and it's past Hayes. Bichette around third. Springer on his way to the plate. Espinal to third, and it's 3-0.
How about the vibes from George? Are they allowed to have fun now? Espinal follows up his 3-for-3 day with a big hit, still in the frame. Alejandro Kirk with the bases drunk. That's a double. A 6-run after scoring 9 runs through the first 5 games of this homestand. They score 6 in the frame and go on to win it. 6-1, your final. So the Jays hang on to that 3rd wild card spot, moving a game and a half up on the Orioles. They are a half game back of the Rays entering tonight, while the Mariners are up in LA at the moment, and the Twins have already won today. Got it good, and since you understood, let's go back to the field. Hazel May standing by with Santiago Espinal.
A big 7th inning for the Blue Jays, including a 2-run double from Santiago Espinal. Listen, after George came off the bench and drove in the first run of the ball game, what did that 2-run double? I know you don't want to get your hair wet, but good luck. He likes you. He listened to you, not to get your hair wet. He doesn't pay attention to me. Getting back to that 2-run double, George scores the first run of the ball game. What are you thinking in that spot? You've got men on base. What are you saying to yourself to focus on mechanically or your approach?
You know, I was just trying to stay aggressive and, you know, trying to get a good pitch to hit and got the double.
You certainly did. You have an all-star first half of the season. Things didn't go so well after the all-star break, but we're seeing you get into more of a groove at the plate now. What was different, SB, from just after the all-star break, say over the last week or so?
You know, nothing changed. Just trying to stay consistent with my work and, you know, come over here and compete every day to try to get the W and trying to make the fun again for the fans.
The fans are having a ton of fun. How much did this team need this win? Not just for the wild card standings, but for morale there in that clubhouse.
It's a must-need, and you know, we're going to New York now with the good run that we just had right here, and we're just going to New York and trying to get the series.
Ross Stripling pitched 6 perfect innings before giving up that first hit. What did you think of the way he performed for you guys in a big spot?
I mean, it was amazing the way he came out, aggressive, and you know, we needed him, and he got us.
He did. Santiago Espinal, good luck in New York. Short and sweet, but we appreciate your time, Santi.
Thank you, thank you.
All right, Santiago Espinal and the Blue Jays will head to New York after taking the series final here against the Orioles, guys.
Thank you very much, Hazel, Jamie, and Joe. In a flash, your reaction in flash. But let's kick off this festivities by introducing Ben Nicholson-Smith. And Benny, I don't want to repeat myself. By the way, Vladdy keeping the braids dry for Santiago Espinal. Do you know how long it takes to braid hair like that? I'm seriously asking. I don't know.
Believe it or not, I do not know.
No, you don't know.
But that was some real consideration there from Vladdy.
That's a big win for August 17th, and it felt like you could kind of see it in Santiago Espinal's face.
Absolutely. It seemed like a really big win for a team that has not had many wins to celebrate in the last little while. So, you know, realistically, if they had lost their grip on a playoff spot with an expanded playoff field, like that is not a good sign. And I know it's August 17th, there's more time, but you want to stay in control of that playoff spot. And for now, the Jays have done that.
Yeah, without a doubt, that was the storyline heading into this game. We're going to get tons of your reaction. Jesse Rubinoff is sitting over there, and he will have it all for you. It's not a post game, though, without Jamie and Joe, who now join us from the Rogers Center. And Jamie, I will start with you. There was a lot of talk about if the Jays lose this game today. Ifs and buts, though, in the end. It did feel like the pressure was building with every scoreless inning in this one, Jamie.
My goodness, consider that Joe and I had several discussions about the fact that maybe Ross Stripling should not start this game based on Jose Barrios and his somewhat woeful road record. Maybe Barrios against the Orioles, a team he's never lost to, and then make Stripling wait until Thursday against the New York Yankees. And lo and behold, he goes out and spins Joe 6 perfect innings. My goodness.
Well, that was pretty special, Tim. And I think, too, when you look at Ross Stripling and what he's done this year, we said on our show before the game, we don't want to call Ross Stripling the savior of this rotation, but he could kind of be the savior of this rotation. He's been that good and that consistent. Now, my concern is he's not a guy that goes deep into ball games, but what did he do? Went into the 7th inning today. So a lot of good things for Stripling and this pitching staff in this rotation. You have to count on Gausman and Manoah being your horses down the stretch. If they don't do well, this team's done. So if you can add Ross to that and try to get something out of Jose Barrios. Now, we'll see a big day tomorrow at Yankee Stadium for Barrios, but that will say a lot as to this rotation and fixing things up a little bit down the stretch here.
There were some questions among those on Twitter after 72 pitches, but this is Ross Stripling's first start off the IL. Ben, are you okay with it? Because when you break this down, I mean, Ross Stripling has basically been, what, their 3rd best pitcher or their 3rd best starter all year long?
I think without exaggeration. I mean, for a guy who has really been between roles to go this long and only allow more than 3 runs one time, it's pretty remarkable. He's been fantastic. I think that, you know, for someone who doesn't necessarily have the overwhelming stuff, you know, it's interesting to see, but it's impressive. He's pitching incredibly well, and you can't deny the results.
Jamie, that Ross Stripling start meant nothing without some offense, and finally the Jays get some in the bottom of the 7th.
They do, and what was most fascinating about it is, and I know BABIP comes into play here, was the fact that the hit that got the whole rally started off the end of the bat of Teoscar Hernandez falls in a perfect place in center field. And then, and I said this to Joe, when you get 1,000 hits in the major leagues, as George Springer now has, when you reach 1,000, it's highly, highly unlikely that number 1,000 is going to be a pinch hit. But that one, Joe, registers as quite possibly one of the most important all year for this team.
Well, that was all year. And when you count on your big boys, too, and I've always said, for this team down the stretch, your best players have to be your best players. And that can go from April 1st all the way to the end of the season. But it's true. And a lot of the big boys have not had the same offensive seasons as last year. The pitching has certainly had their struggles lately. But if these guys were hitting the way they're capable of, you can out-hit some of those issues. It has not happened lately. So George didn't get the start today, but he came off the bench. I thought a critical at-bat, too, was the Bo Bichette base hit. Yeah. I'm not sure, Timmy, if it was a hit and run. Just because the runner's going on the pitch does not mean the hit and run sign was on. Teoscar could have been stealing, but it was a 1-0 count, which is ideal for a hit and run. And the reason I'm wondering so much is because if John Schneider put the hit and run on here, many applause go out to him, because when you put a hit and run sign onto a hitter, it means you're swinging the bat. And you know what that means for Bo Bichette? He doesn't have to make any decisions. He doesn't have to look for a good pitch. We know he expands a little bit. He had doubled the AB before, but it takes the decision out of the hitter's hands, and he can just go to hacking. So if he put the hit and run sign on there, huge applause to the manager helping a hitter out.
And some signs today that maybe some players are going to come out of scenarios where they haven't been hitting, because the team as a whole has not for the most part lately. Consider 3 hits from Espinal in yesterday's loss to the Orioles. He comes up in the ball game today with a couple of big hits, including that double in the 7th inning. And Alejandro Kirk, who's looked, as you would agree, Joe, somewhat lost at the plate, with a tremendous double in that 7th inning, contributing to the 6 runs scored.
I felt differently today, guys, about the Blue Jays offense. In the first inning, there was a strikeout looking by Chapman, but both Vladdy and Gurriel hit balls the other way. So I said to Jamie after the first inning, I said, better approach. They're at least making the adjustments. All those pitches we're seeing away, going the other way. Now, it took a while, but give credit to the starting pitcher today. I thought he was great. Buck highlighted it several times on the broadcast. He was living on the outside edges of the zone, and it's very difficult to hit. It doesn't have to be 98. When you're locating the way he is with the fastball, the cutter away, slider away, it was tough to hit today. So I give the pitcher a little more credit today, and more so maybe blame the hitters in these past number of days we've been talking about it.
Baseball's funny. This homestand, they just won 2 games. One was the Mitch White start, and the other, Ross Stripling coming off the IL. The Gosman start didn't produce a victory, nor did the Manoah, nor did the Barrios. It's funny how baseball works that way sometimes.
Yeah, Stripling and Stripling 2.0 get the wins at home in this homestand. And to further the story on whether or not it was a hit and run with Bo and Teoscar, that came with 1 out in the 7th inning. You'll remember yesterday, similar situation. Santiago Espinal is on first in the bottom of the 7th inning, and they have what you could call a hit and run. Tapia swings through the ball. Espinal is thrown out at second base. And Joe, it's a completely different story. So if Schneider did in fact call this hit and run in the exact same spot where it didn't work yesterday, to me that's even more guts.
Well, and I think it's a totally different scenario, Tim, for this reason.
Yep.
It's Bo Bichette. When you have good hitters at the plate, and I know he's hitting lower in the order right now, but when you have good hitters at the plate, you don't put the hit and run on. You don't give the hit and run necessarily to a Teoscar or a George or somebody at the top of the order, because they're such good hitters. You're almost taking the bat and the decision out of their hands. But what you can do to a very good hitter that's maybe having some struggles at a current time, help them out in that regard. So I think Tapia yesterday was an obvious hit and run, because you've got a guy at the plate that has a high contact rate, definitely not going to swing through a fastball, right? Well, he did, so it backfired. But I thought the scenario was perfect there. As opposed to the Bo thing, I'm anxious to hear Schneider postgame.